going on, everybody? Welcome back to another page of the playbook. This is Nate coming at you guys day number 3, team number 3 of 32 NFL offseasons in 32-ish days. Today's team, one of the best teams in the NFL, Baltimore Ravens. Before we get into today's video, guys, I just want to give a special shout out to today's sponsors, starting with Gold Fine and Bowles, lawyers for the injured. Personal injury, workers' compensation, those are their two things, but any sort of legal advice, they're the people to call. Give them a phone call, 309-673-5144. Tell them we sent you, okay? And I'd also like to shout out SeatGeek for sponsoring today's video as well. Use promo code PlaybookSports on their website to get $20 off your first purchase of $30 or more. Let's get back to the video. Last season, obviously fantastic year for Baltimore. Best record in the NFL, number 1 seed. Another MVP award for Lamar Jackson. Can you believe there are people who thought he shouldn't get the contract he got? That's crazy. Unfortunately, it did come to an end in the championship game at home against the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. Honestly, this really felt like it was the year for the Baltimore Ravens. I truly think so. Chiefs were kind of down offensively, not the same Chiefs we had known. Nobody else in the AFC really separating themselves. The Chargers were terrible. I don't even know why I'm mentioning them. Bills just never really had it all put together. The Bengals lost Joe Burrow. The Browns were down Deshaun Watson, who kind of stinks anyways. I mean, it really felt like it was the Ravens' year. And unfortunately, Patrick Mahomes still plays football and will play football for another 15 years. So that's unlucky for all of us. However, when you have a team with as much talent as the Ravens have and had, unfortunately, you do start to get picked apart a little bit. The vultures come running for your pieces that you cannot bring back, and that drives up the cost. So let's talk about some coaching changes. Obviously, defensive coordinator Mike Macdonald is out of there. He's the new head coach in Seattle. I love that hire by Seattle. I think Mike Macdonald is a guy that's going to stick out there for a long time. Great replacement for Pete Carroll. And then assistant coach Anthony Weaver is now the new defensive coordinator for your Miami Dolphins. Very good assistant coach, very good on the defensive side of the ball. I'm excited to watch him work in Miami. And then they just simply promoted from within. Once again, the Ravens are another organization that just continuously promotes guys, and they end up getting big-time jobs in other places. They promoted Zach Orr to defensive coordinator, so we'll see how much of a difference style he brings to their defense. Let's talk free agency. Players kept and new additions. They couldn't bring in a ton of outside talent because of the cap situation. However, they did keep defensive lineman Justin Madubuike, and that is massive because he broke out last year, was their anchor on the defensive line, an absolute stud. Keeping him was clearly a priority as they kind of chose him over several of their other free agents, and I think that was smart. That's a guy you don't let leave the building. I love that they brought him back. They also brought back Kyle Van Noy as a rotational edge rusher. Doesn't really move the needle, but again, they didn't do a whole lot, so I've got limited to say. And then I do like that they brought in Derrick Henry, with Keaton Mitchell kind of working his way back from injury, and then J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards obviously both going out to L.A. I like the Derrick Henry move. We'll see. We'll see what kind of juice he has left. Poor guy has been run into the ground here. So I don't know how much juice he has, but we'll see. Free agency losses, like I said, when you're a good team, you start to get picked apart. Patrick Queen, very talented middle linebacker, and he goes to the rival Pittsburgh Steelers. That's got to hurt. However, the Ravens are one of those teams that drafts for the future, and they draft replacements. So they already have a guy, Trenton Simpson, on the roster that's learned the position, that's going to get to play with Roquan Smith, who should be able to step right in and be a very solid middle linebacker for them. Geno Stone also was allowed to walk, played a ton of snaps for them. They lost a couple starting offensive linemen in Morgan Moses, who was their starting right tackle, and John Simpson, who was their starting left guard. They had plans for both of those. Andrew Voorhees will be their new starting left guard, who I loved coming out, and then loved the heart of him to tear his ACL at the combine and to still do the bench press. I love that. Love that. Obviously lost Odell Beckham Jr. Huge, massive loss. Just kidding. He's a nice piece. Good vet presence in the locker room. Honestly, you can't expect a ton of production on the field, but he's been around there, been there, done that kind of guy. So just losing that vet presence is kind of tough. And then Jadeveon Clowney quietly had 9.5 sacks last year. Hard to replace that. And they also lost Kevin Zeitler, so they lost both their starting guards and the starting right tackle. So a new look offensive line coming at you. So quite a few losses in free agency. Now, how did they fill those holes? In a way that only the Ravens can do, and that is through the draft. So, first round pick Nate Wiggins, cornerback out of Clemson. Honestly surprising. I've talked about this pick a few times before. It's not surprising because of the talent, right? He's a very talented corner. Very good coverage guy, very fast. Obviously, he ran, a 4.28 40. Super fast. He's just so damn skinny. 160-something pounds. I'm concerned about him being out-physicaled, especially in the AFC North. That's my kind of confusion. I would have preferred somebody that's a little more physical because the AFC North plays such a physical style of football. But again, the talent is obviously there. They had a guy similar to him in Marcus Peters not long ago, and Marcus Peters was great for them. So we'll see. I'm interested to see how he fits into that defense. Very talented. Second rounder, Roger Rosengarten, new starting right tackle. He will replace Morgan Moses. Young guy, only 21 years old. Did not allow a single sack at Washington. Very good, very young. Needs to put on just a little bit of weight. I'm worried about him against bull rushers, but the talent is undeniable. If he had stayed in school another year, I think he would have been a for sure first-round pick next year. So getting talent here, I like that pick a lot. Third-round pick, they got Adisa Isaac, defensive lineman out of Penn State. Super productive. Edge rusher, I do think he'll be a nice rotational piece from them. Chance to learn from some older guys, him. He's going to play with David Ojabo, Dafe Owe, Kyle Van Noy will be there. They've got a ton of kind of rotational pieces, and I think he'll fit right in with that. And then I love their fourth round. I love TJ Tampa in the fourth round. Way too talented to be available. Same thing with Devontae Walker. No business being available in the fourth round. Neither of them did. They both, maybe they aren't day one starters, but they both have a ton of upside in the right system. And the Ravens coaches typically are pretty damn good. So I expect these guys to be studs, and for us all to be like, how did they fall to the fourth round? Makes no sense. Every single year I find myself loving the Ravens draft, and this year is truthfully no different. They always just draft so smart. They always take positions for the future. Hey, next year we're going to lose this guy. We need to draft we need to draft this guy now, let him sit, learn the position, and he can start next year and be ready to go. They got some, they don't rely on rookies as much. They get some output. Zay Flowers, very solid. Zay Flowers is going to be even better this year. They draft guys and prepare for them to be key contributors in year 2, year 3, and so on and so forth. And that is why I really like it. Like I said, maybe only 1 or 2 day one starters, but they are all going to play serious roles going forward. So, overall draft grade, the only complaint I really had is I just didn't love the Nate Wiggins pick. I like the Nate Wiggins pick, but I didn't love it, right? So for that, I'm giving them an A-. Really strong draft class. Once again, it's just what the Ravens do. They just draft so well. Overall, this offseason, sadly for them, this was kind of expected, right? Losing a bunch of talent, losing good coaches, losing players. That's what happens when you're a good football team. Kind of up against the salary cap, multiple starters up for contract extensions, had some tough decisions to make. Yeah, we want Matabike. It's going to cost us Patrick Queen and Geno Stone, who both play a ton. But they have guys ready to go. They've still got, at safety, Marcus Williams and Kyle Hamilton. They're fine. Middle linebacker, you've still got Roquan Smith, who can teach Trenton Simpson what to do. They're going to be fine. They didn't have anybody to replace Justin Matabike, so they kept him. Smart moves. It will be hard to replace what they lost. Patrick Queen is better than Simpson. Geno Stone is a very good third safety, and other players and then their coaching is obviously going to be a little different. So we'll see how that all plays. A great draft helps replace some of that lost talent as well. I think they did a pretty good job this offseason, honestly. I give them a solid B+. I give the Ravens a B+ for this offseason, mainly because they lost more talent than they gained. At the end of the day, the overall talent meter is a net negative as opposed to a net positive. But I still like what they've done. I still think the Ravens are going to win, double-digit games next year pretty easily. So that's all I've got for you guys on the Baltimore Ravens offseason grade. We will see you guys in tomorrow's video where we will talk about the Buffalo Bills.